And the First Lady of New York City Broadcasting, beat reporters Linda Schmidt, is over this. She's been covering this. And I want to bring Linda into the conversation now. She's
goodness!
Also a very dear friend of mine. But Linda, a lot of discussions. You broke this story for us Tuesday night, Wednesday night.
Yeah, we've been covering it since it happened because it caught everybody by surprise. I mean, it really is a surprising thing. It sent shock waves really across the country because the issue here is freedom of speech,
yes,
which is the fabric of what this country was built on.
Yep.
It is the foundation of democracy. And so many feel that what happened by pulling Jimmy Kimmel's show, and again, he has not been canceled,
right,
he has been suspended indefinitely, that that is a threat against the First Amendment,
right,
and free speech. So we do have some video because, you know, there's a lot of fallout going on around the country, but there are demonstrations as well happening in various parts of the country. That started yesterday and today. This right now is in Lower Manhattan. This is outside ABC's headquarters, and that's a Fox 5 crew that's down there shooting this. It's the Writers Guild Union that is holding this demonstration, in addition to others. There are some other city leaders, state leaders, and that's one of the gentlemen that you're looking at right now. But what they are doing, they're blasting ABC and its owner Disney for suspending Jimmy Kimmel's show. We're going to have more for you on this coming up on the 4 o'clock news block as well as the 5 o'clock news. But Adeja, one of our colleagues here, let's go ahead and toss to that video of Jimmy Kimmel so that we can refresh everybody's, you know, memory here about what's going on.
Right.
Now, some freedom of speech experts, in addition to comedians, late night talk show hosts, they are coming out, obviously, in full support of Jimmy Kimmel. Now, again, Disney, as you and I were just talking about, suspended his show indefinitely after comments that he made in his monologue on Monday night regarding the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
Right.
So critics are saying that Disney and media networks, that they're actually caving to the Trump administration, and the administration is censoring them at this point. So last night, you had several late night comedians. We all know who they are because we watch pretty much all of these folks, and including the folks that are on the Fox News channel. But anyway, they came out in support of Jimmy Kimmel. One of them, Jon Stewart, who is on Comedy Central, he was making fun of the president, who is currently in the UK, or who was in the UK.
Was in the UK, right.
He got back last night. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and go to that sound from them, what they were saying about this whole issue. And of course, they brought humor into it as well. So go ahead, Adeja, roll that.
That Jimmy Kimmel was suspended by ABC after pressure from the FCC, leaving everyone thinking WTF. I don't know what's going on, and no one does, but I do know Jimmy Kimmel, and he's a decent, funny, and loving guy, and I hope he comes back.
And as part of this historic trip, the perfectly tinted Trump dazzled his hosts at dinner with a demonstration of unmatched oratory skill.
I just want to say before we get started here that I've always admired and respected Mr. Trump. I've always believed he was, a visionary, innovator, a great president, an even better golfer. And if you've ever seen me say anything negative about him, that's just AI.
Okay, Linda, before you continue,
I mean,
all were great. You couldn't help but laugh.
It's comedy.
It is comedy. You know, it's interesting their take, you know, on such a serious conversation. How did you process all of it, Linda? You know.
Well, you know, it's interesting because we do have the issue of free speech, but at what point do we cross the line of it being free speech and actually continuing to promote false information,
right?
Hate speech? So it's an issue that we are debating once again in this country. And I mean, Congress is taking a serious look at this again, in addition to people within the media. And comedians, that's what their job is.
Exactly.
Their job is to, in an entertaining way, basically make fun of everybody,
poke fun,
including us.
Including
us. That's what their job is. But many say the late night shows have become too politically partisan. and that they hammer too much at one administration.
As
and here I'm
opposed-
talking
right.
about the Trump administration over and over and over and over and over, and that's what the president has been complaining about, is that it's always seems to be the Trump administration and not any of the other politicians, namely Democrats. So that's his argument.
Right.
But you know, the whole issue of free speech, you're about to see a report here. This came down from the Fox News channel, and it goes into a little bit more detail and the nuances about what is being debated here.
Right.
Okay, and being fought for. Go ahead, Adasia, let's roll that. We don't have it? Okay.
Nonetheless,
alrighty.
given the discourse that's going on right now, is this something that should have taken place maybe sooner? Because they've always poked fun, you know, and even the first Trump administration, they poked fun. Do you think it's elevated now? Is that what the part of the debate? You know,
Well, that's what the Trump administration is saying, is that he's constantly getting hammered. He was constantly hammered during his first administration, and now in his second administration, that they just really harp on him. And he says that Jimmy Kimmel has been especially bad with this, as well as Stephen Colbert. Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, they do it as well, but he doesn't seem to think that they're as bad as the other two. Now, again, this is the Trump administration,
right.
and this is the president. But Seth Meyers, who works for NBC, Jimmy Fallon, who works for NBC, the president posted on his social media, Truth Social,
right.
I believe it was yesterday, saying, look, ABC finally did what it needed to do. It made a tough decision by suspending Jimmy Kimmel, and that he was pushing for NBC to do the same thing with Jimmy Fallon. And yeah, here we are right here. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what it had to be done. And then he goes on to say that leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake NBC News. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC, with 3 exclamation points. So he thinks that they should be pulled at least temporarily as well, because he thinks that he is being unfairly targeted. In addition, what he believes is that, I'm sorry, what do we have that package?
That's the one you were talking about.
In just one moment, we're going to go to that package. But anyway, the president feels that they are just constantly targeting him, and it's not fair and equal play when it comes to the Democrats. So now we have that story from the Fox News channel about this debate on free speech. So we're going to go ahead and roll that.
Well, this controversy has been brewing through the course of the week, and ABC decided to take action just as Jimmy Kimmel was getting ready for air. It's hard to make out, but that, we believe, is Jimmy Kimmel making a low-key exit after his late-night show was abruptly pulled yesterday, just as audience hopefuls were already lined up.
Now we're going to have to find something else to do at 11:35 every night.
It was all driven by Kimmel's take earlier this week on the death of political activist Charlie Kirk.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from.
That suggestion of a left-wing theory that the accused assassin, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, was a right-wing Trump supporter is not supported by the evidence gathered by investigators who have said Robinson's own family said otherwise. And it was enough to trigger a revolt from a large group of ABC stations around the country, leading the network to pull the plug.
Late night shows, something's gone seriously awry there.
FCC Chairman Brendan Carr had threatened to take action if something wasn't done.
I'm very glad to see that America's broadcasters are standing up to serve the interests of their community. We don't just have this progressive foie gras coming out from New York and Hollywood.
This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer blamed the Trump administration for an attack on free speech. The president, though, was thrilled, posting on Truth Social, "Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done." Now, ABC has not said at this point that Kimmel has been canceled, only that his show is off the air indefinitely. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
My thought is, well, if we're now suspending or canceling, as has been the
Right.
case, you know, with these two, then what does that say about the future of late night television, which a lot of us turn to, you know, to
Right.
get away, to give us some sort of breathing room
Right.
from national headlines?
Well, you know what's really interesting, Antoine, and you and I think, have had this conversation in the past, is that fewer people are watching late night television. I mean, the ratings have been deteriorating for years now, which means that they can't make the money that they need to make. They can't generate the revenue to support keeping it on the air. So I spoke with an expert earlier this week who basically said eventually late night television is going to fade away the way that we know it. And it's interesting as well because there's a new poll out. The Associated Press did this poll, and you might find this interesting. I did. That is, who's watching late night talk shows? First of all, only about a quarter of Americans actually watch the late night talk shows. Only about a quarter of Americans. And most of those who watch on a routine basis are Democrats. Now that is a poll by the Associated Press. So, you know, new information coming out every day about this.
Linda, the pleasure is always mine anytime we get to get your knowledge thrust upon us like that. So thank you for being in here and staying on top of this story.
You know I always
You've
love
got a
being with
busy
you.
day.
Yes.
You've got a
You
busy day.
too. You too, mister.
We will. All right. The First Lady, absolutely she is. Linda Schmidt, everybody. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back.